Announcer bot is active. Danny van Rooyen from Netherlands is P1. Yuan Yemen from South Africa is P1. Best lap is a 0:59.232. Danny van Rooyen is third. Best lap is a 1:25.241. Peter Geldenhuis from South Africa is first. Best lap is a 0:57.495. Ernest Heather from South Africa is P5. Danny van Rooyen is P1. Best lap is a 0:56.851. Yuan Yemen is P4. Blake Kruger from South Africa is P5. Danny van Rooyen is first. Yuan Yemen is P5. Blake Kruger is second. Best lap is a 0:56.873. Yuan Yemen is P5. The qualification session is at Prototype Zwartkopf Raceway. The wind speed is 11 km/h from the north-northeast. Blake Kruger from South Africa is second. Mike McDeer from South Africa is sixth. Danny van Rooyen from Netherlands is seventh. Danny van Rooyen improved his first with a 0:56.590. Peter Grobler is fourth. Peter Grobler improved his third with a 0:58.643. 2.053 off pole. Leon van Linden from South Africa is P6. Leon van Linden improved his fifth with a 1:00.963. 4.373 off pole. Danny van Rooyen is P1 up 0.21. Blake Kruger is second up 0.14. Ernest Heather from South Africa is fifth up 0.58. Ernest Heather improved his third with a 0:58.287. 1.697 off pole. Mike McDeer is eighth. Blake Kruger is P2 up 0.29. Danny van Rooyen is provisional pole with a 0:56.508. Mike McDeer is P10. Mike McDeer improved his third with a 0:57.185. 0.677 off pole. Janine Glad from South Africa is 10th up 1.19. Janine Glad improved his ninth with a 0:59.863. 3.355 off pole. Yuan Yemen from South Africa is P6. Yuan Yemen improved his P4 with a 0:57.644. 1.136 off pole. Peter Geldenhuis from South Africa is P8 up 0.67. 5 minutes remaining in the session. Leon van Linden is P10 up 0.23. Janine Glad is P9 driving Audi. Janine Glad improved is 9th with a 0:59.477, 2.969 off pole. Leon van Linden is 10th. Leon van Linden improved is P10 with a 1:00.670, 4.162 off pole. Blake Kruger is P2 up 0.11. Blake Kruger improved his second with a 0:56.867, 0.359 off pole. Janine Glad is 9th up 0.20. Janine Glad improved his P9 with a 0:59.412, 2.904 off pole. Tommy Glad from South Africa is 8th up 0.13. Danny van Rooyen is first. Blake Kruger is second. Blake Kruger improved his P2 with a 0:56.682, 0.174 off pole. Tommy Glad is 8th. Danny van Rooyen from Netherlands is first. Janine Glad is P9 driving Audi. Janine Glad improved his 8th with a 0:58.645, 2.137 off pole. The qualifying session is now in overtime. Tommy Glad is P9 up 0.16. Best lap is a 0:58.708. 2.200 off pole. Ernest Heather is 6th up 0.21. Peter Grobler is P7. Peter Grobler improved his 6th with a 0:57.789. 1.281 off pole. Ernest Heather is 7th up 0.17. The race session is at Prototype Zwartkops Raceway. The wind speed is 7 km/h from the northeast. Danny van Rooyen from Netherlands is first. Blake Kruger from South Africa is P2. Mike McDeer from South Africa is P3. Peter Geldenhuis from South Africa is P4. Yuan Yemen from South Africa is P5. Peter Grobler is P6. Ernest Heather from South Africa is P7. Race start. Danny van Rooyen is first. Blake Kruger is second. Mike McDeer is third. Yuan Yemend is P4. Peter Geldenhuis is P4. Ernest Heather is P6. Peter Grobler is 7th. Tommy Glad from South Africa is P8. Peter Geldenhuis is 4th, 0.4 behind Mike McGeer. Peter Geldenhuis is now P3. Ernest Heather is P5. Best lap is a 1:57.278. 2.398 off the fastest lap. Janine Glad from South Africa is 8th, 0.3 behind Tommy Glad. Yuan Yemend is P6. Best lap is a 1:00.730. 3.125 off the fastest lap. Janine Glad is 8th, 0.9 behind Tommy Glad. Ernest Heather on lap 4 is P5, 0.8 behind Peter Grobler. Janine Glad is P8, 0.7 behind Tommy Glad. Peter Grobler is P4, 0.9 behind Peter Geldenhuis. Tommy Glad is P6, 0.4 ahead of Janine Glad. Tommy Glad lost 6th to Janine Glad. Tommy Glad entering the pits is P1. Yuan Yemend is P6. Yuan Niemand is now P5. Tommy Glad is 7th. Tommy Glad exiting pits. Tommy Glad lost P9 to Ernest Heather. Tommy Glad passed Ernest Heather for 9. Janine Glad is 6th, 1.4 behind Yuan Niemand. Peter Grobler is 4th. Best lap is a 0:57.990. 1.393 off the fastest lap. Yuan Niemand is 6th, 0.4 behind Janine Glad. Tommy Glad is P9. Ernest Heather from South Africa is 10th. Ernest Heather entering the pits is 10th. Peter Grobler is 4th. Ernest Heather exiting pits. Yuan Niemand on lap 8 is 6th, 1.3 behind Janine Glad. Leon van Linden from South Africa on lap 8 is 7th, 4.3 ahead of Blake Kruger. Leon van Linden lost P7 to Blake Kruger. Grobler on lap 9 is 4th, 3.1 behind Peter Geldenhuis. Yuan Niemand on lap 10 is P6. Yuan Niemand passed Peter Grobler for P5. Tommy Glad is P9. Blake Kruger is 7th. The leader has just finished the race. Danny Van Ruyen finished first. Blake Kruger finished P7. Mike McGeer finished P2. Peter Geldenhuis finished third. Janine Glad finished fourth. Peter Grobler finished 5th. Yuan Yemen finished P6. Ernest Heather finished 10th. Leon Van Linden finished 8th. Tommy Glad finished P9. The race session is at Prototype Zwartkops Raceway. The wind speed is 11 km/h from the northeast. Danny Van Ruyen from Netherlands is first. Mike McGeer from South Africa is P2. Peter Geldenhuis from South Africa is P3. Janine Glad from South Africa is P4. Peter Grobler is P5. Yuan Yemen from South Africa is 6th. Blake Kruger from South Africa is P7. Race start. Danny Van Ruyen is P1. Ernest Heather entering the pits is P9. Mike McKeer entering the pits is 10. Tommy Glad from South Africa is 5th. Ernest Heather exiting pits. Peter Grobler is P3. Mike McKeer exiting pits. Blake Kruger is P4. Yuan Yemen is P7. Peter Geldenquist is 2nd. Peter Grobler is 3rd, 0.2 ahead of Blake Kruger. Blake Kruger is P4, 0.2 behind Peter Grobler. Ernest Heather from South Africa is P7, 0.2 behind Yuan Yemen. Ernest Heather is now 6th. Janine Glad is 7th, 0.5 behind Ernest Heather. Blake Kruger is 4th, 0.5 behind Tommy Glad. Tommy Glad was 0.8 faster last lap. Mike McKeer is P8, 0.9 behind Janine Glad. Mike McKeer was 5.5 faster last lap. Blake Kruger is 4th, 0.2 behind Tommy Glad. Yuan Yemen is 5th driving Audi, 0.5 behind Blake Kruger. Yuan Yemen is now 4th. Tommy Glad is P5, 0.2 ahead of Ernest Heather. Ernest Heather is P7 driving Audi, 0.4 ahead of Mike McKeer. Leon van Linden entering the pits is 1st. Tommy Glad entering the pits is P8. Peter Grobler is P8. Ernest Heather exiting pits. Peter Grobler is now 7th. Janine Glad is P7 driving Audi. Tommy Glad exiting pits. Tommy Glad is P10 driving a Chevrolet, 1.4 behind Ernest Heather. Janine Glad is 7th driving a Audi. Blake Kruger is P3, 0.5 behind Peter Geldenhuis. Mike McGear is P5, 0.5 behind Yuan Yemen. Mike McGear passed Yuan Yemen for 4th. Yuan Yemen is 6th driving Audi, 3.7 behind Peter Grobler. Yuan Yemen was 1.3 faster last lap. Blake Kruger on lap 7 is P3, 0.4 behind Peter Geldenhuis. Tommy Glad is 9th. Blake Kruger on lap 7 is P4, 3.6 behind Mike McGear. Mike McGear was 0.8 faster last lap. Leon Van Linden exiting pits. Blake Kruger is now P3. Peter Grobler is P4, 0.6 behind Blake Kruger. Peter Grobler was 7.5 faster last lap. Entering the pits is P10. Janine Glad is 7th. Best lap is a 0:58.168. 1.526 off the fastest lap. Blake Kruger is P3, 1.5 ahead of Peter Grobler. Blake Kruger was 0.6 faster last lap. Thomas is P5. Best lap is a 0:57.531. 0.889 off the fastest lap. Tommy Glad is 9. Has just finished the race. Danny Van Ruyen finished first. Mike McKeer finished second. Blake Kruger finished P3. Tommy Glad finished P9. Peter Grobler finished fourth. Ernest Heather finished P8. Yuan Yemen finished 5th. Peter Geldenquist